All right, welcome back. This is JE Live, and I am JE, Jake Ellenbogen here. Rams camp is underway, obviously, but now we're in the padded practice portion of it. Excuse me. So we're about what's going on. Of course, as always, shout out to Stu Jackson, Wyatt Miller, and everyone that's able to come up with these reports. I am not at Rams camp. I'm literally on the other side of the country. So I'm giving you my analysis based on what is out there. And then I'm also getting texts and DMs from people that are at the camp as well, giving me their insight too. Now, some people, prefer not to be named. So that, I'll obviously leave it like that. But let's just start off from the top here. Matthew Stafford remains week to week. He is not currently practicing. He has a sore back. The Rams aren't concerned. I'm not concerned. Peter Schrager went on Pat McAfee. He's not concerned. So there's a lot of, stuff there, but Matthew Stafford is not practicing. So when you see the 1v1 yesterday, the ones of the offense, ones on the defense, it's important to remember, as good as the defense looked, Jimmy Garoppolo is the starting quarterback right now for the Rams. That will not obviously be the case week one, but it is currently right now. So that's something to keep in mind there. It is important to just, have that prefaced. But also, Kyron Williams, we got an update that essentially there is no update on the extension following the Rams meeting with his agent, Drew Rosenhaus. We also found out that Blake Corum and Jarquez Hunter got more run with the ones yesterday. McVay was quick to say, look, don't look too far into it, right? Corum, he's confirmed to be down 6 pounds from last year, feels more explosive. That is the weight that he played at Michigan, so that's good. And then Poona Ford, a newcomer here, he's letting his presence be known in camp. McVay is raving about him. Kobe Turner's raving about him, raving about the run defense. So that's really good stuff there. The defense is really impressive right now, according to Sean McVay. Pointed out, Nate Landman is doing an exceptional job taking over as the green dot. And to be honest with you, Nate Landman could end up being the Rams starting linebacker. And that sounds crazy because it sure looked like Omar Spates was turning into that. And it's nothing against Omar Spates, but if they trust Nate Landman to be the green dot, then he's likely going to start in those packages where you only have one linebacker, of course, like in, when you're talking about nickel, right? So that's something to keep in mind there. What they could also do is they could go with, Landman's the green dot, when there's two linebackers on the field in base, 3-4, but then when they go into their nickel package or, their sub package, then, you have like a Quentin Lake take over as the green dot, which they've done in the past. So there are different ways to do it, as far as that is concerned. So that's something to keep in mind there. I like Landman a lot. Dude was an absolute stud run defender for the Falcons. He's, really stood out on tape for me. The cover skills have always been really what's held him back. So I think in camp, he would obviously look a lot better considering, but he is going to have to cover if he's starting week one, and we'll see how that goes down. But he appears to be the replacement for Troy Reeder. Like this is it just feels like this is the coach's guy now. Like this is a guy that they really like, and he's going to outplay his value, it looks like. Among the standouts, and there's been quite a few, Konate Mumfield, the rookie out of Pittsburgh, wide receiver, has really shown up. I keep hearing glowing reports about him. He looks big. He's wearing number 15, and he looks like it's DeMarcus Robinson catching it. So that's good. He's creating separation, good body control, willingness to block. So those are all good things. Jordan Whittington also is showing out in camp, and there are a lot of people that I've talked to that think Jordan Whittington is about to take the next step. And I would hope so in his second year, but it's more than that. Like when you hear people talk about him, it's like, no. What you were saying last year about him being potentially the Puka Nacua of the draft, this year could be that year. He's looking really good. The problem is there's so many mouths to feed, and I don't think, the statistical output is going to match that up, because you have Tutu Atwell, you have Whittington, you have Mumfield, you have Puka, you have Devontae Adams, then you have your running backs, then you have your tight ends. It's a lot. It's a lot, but really good stuff I'm hearing out of Mumfield and Whittington, as well as Xavier Smith, who's made some plays on offense. So that's something there. Sean Dolak, I'm hearing really good things about as well. When he's on the field, he makes plays. He's strong. He stands out, and he's already learned the playbook. He's just really smart, conscientious, and is exactly what a Rams football player is supposed to be. So I would be absolutely stunned if he didn't make the roster, because I'll tell you right now, if Sean Dolak has a good preseason, he's not making it through waivers. So if the Rams do decide to ultimately cut him, he is not going to be on their practice squad. There's just no way. He should have been drafted. I don't know how that happened. Wouldn't be surprised if Buffalo was all over him, since, of course, he played his college football in Buffalo. And then Emmanuel Forbes Jr. Look, he's had a huge opportunity because Akello Witherspoon, just like, of course, Sean Dolak has had a huge opportunity because Chris Paul Jr., they both have been held out. Akello's dealing with a calf. Chris Paul Jr. is dealing with some stuff. So I actually like this because obviously I don't like injuries, but the Rams aren't even chancing it. Like, if they're not 100%, don't put him out there. That's how you get camp injuries, whether you realize it or not. And I'm not saying that they all happen that way. A lot of them are freak injuries, but there are guys playing through it. And it's like, why? If you can't, perfect practice is what makes perfect. It's not practice makes perfect. Perfect practice. How do you have perfect practice? You're 100%. If you're not 100%, you shouldn't be practicing. Simple as that. Because now you're overcompensating for a certain, ligament or whatever that isn't giving you the desired optimal results. So Emmanuel Forbes Jr. is getting an opportunity now with Akello on the sideline. And I've only heard just incredible things from Emmanuel Forbes Jr. They did the drills, the reps rather, in the red zone. He broke up a really, really tough pass to Jordan Whittington. He's looked really stout. He looks more filled out, just like Tutu Atwell, by the way. I've heard people said Tutu Atwell's bulked up a little bit, and you can notice it. But Emmanuel Forbes Jr. really needed the bulk, and now he's really starting to turn heads in camp. So those are the 3 or 4 guys that I just keep hearing about, keep getting DMs about. And I think the Rams are excited about all 4, as they should be. Jalen Tank McCullough has received rave reviews for his progression heading into year 2, and has already been teased to have a bigger role in 2025 per Sean McVay. So McVay is really excited about McCullough. The rest of the team is. Chris Shula, this is somebody that can play linebacker or safety. And it really goes to show you the Rams have a certain type when it comes to UDFAs. They don't go after the priority UDFAs. They don't go after the guys who normally, Sean Dolak definitely was, but they don't normally go after the guys that super athletic or whatever. They go after the football players. And Jalen Tank McCullough is a football player. He didn't test extremely well, and that's why he fell out of the draft. But if you go back and you look at his Tennessee film, it's not a shock that this is somebody that looks like he's going to make it in the NFL and stick around for a while. I feel when I watch this player, he reminds me of a veteran that's been in the league for a while, Chuck Clark. That's who he reminds me of. And I actually think he could be that in this league and be that veteran that's just, stays in the league for a while. He's a good player. I'm excited for Tank, and we'll see what ends up happening there. But then Tyler Davis, right? He's another one, was held on the Saquon Barkley touchdown run that kind of, made the game or put it away, even though it really didn't. The Rams had a chance to go down and win, but the Saquon Barkley touchdown run really made it tough. Tyler Davis is another player McVay has gone out of his way to praise as well. Defensive captain Kobe Turner called him one of the most consistent guys you're around. To me, Davis is somebody that, when they got him out of Clemson, I wasn't as high on that draft pick, but he's definitely making his presence known. And he's just got a lot of respect from, just the organization in general. And when they drafted, Hamilton, right? I think a lot of people assumed Ty Hamilton would just take over and just, overshadow Tyler Davis. And it was just more an indictment on Tyler Davis's ability and saying, yeah, we needed, more out of you. No, I don't really think that at all. I think they were just trying to bulk up in the interior some more because they did have these guys. I mean, you think about it, right? You got Bobby Brown. He leaves in free agency to Carolina. You got Neville Gallimore who goes over to the Colts. So these are guys that had to make an impact late in the season that are no longer on the roster. And yes, you went out and got Poona Ford, but I think Neville Gallimore is placed his spot anyway by a Ty Hamilton. So I have no issue with that. But Tyler Davis, sleep on him if you want. I've really liked what I saw last year's preseason, and then he carried that on to the NFL season. So the rookie year was pretty good considering he didn't get a ton of opportunities. Make the most of those. That is what Tyler Davis did. And then, as far as everything that I've been told in camp, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Terrence Ferguson have all been very impressive. Devontae Adams, of course, with some veterans, sat out, which I like. I mean, give those guys a rest, of course. But I've also heard great things from Stetson Bennett and Jimmy Garoppolo. Bennett, I'm just going to say this right now, okay? Bennett, the world is in the palm of his hand. If he goes out there and balls out in preseason, it is going to put a ton of stress on the Rams to keep him, right? Because the Rams have 3 quarterbacks they like. And whether you feel good or bad about Stetson Bennett, well, the Rams seem to like him because he's going to start in preseason. Garoppolo will not. And so with that said, now that he's going to start in preseason, keep this in mind. Last year, Garoppolo suspended the first 2 games of the year. So Stetson Bennett had to be kept on the roster, but it also didn't take up a spot for Jimmy G, who was just placed on the suspended list. Okay? It's that simple. But when it comes to this year, Jimmy is not suspended for the first 2 games. Stetson Bennett is going to have to be added to the active roster, or you will risk losing him. And if he has a good preseason, you will lose him. Quarterbacks are currency in the NFL. That's just the way it is. If he plays well in preseason and he builds off of what he's doing in practice, you're going to see Stetson Bennett on another roster for sure. And there are teams around this league that could use a player like that if he does end up being something. Now, I will also say this. Stetson Bennett is not, I don't care what anyone says, Stetson Bennett is not the future. I shouldn't have to say it, but I had to make sure, okay? Stetson Bennett, his future is, if he sticks with the Rams, he's the long-term backup. He's the fan favorite backup. That's his future. He is not the franchise quarterback in waiting. They have 2 first-round picks next year. No, they should not use those 2 first-round picks on 2 players and then have Stetson Bennett be the franchise. No, then they're not going to do that, right? They're just not. So they like Bennett for what he is. Bennett was drafted to be a franchise backup, okay? And we can appreciate that. If Stetson Bennett, shows up and he balls out in preseason, we can appreciate that now Garoppolo, who's definitely in his last year with the Rams, because if he has another good year or just another good game at the end of the season, Garoppolo is going to get a starting quarterback contract somewhere, right? He probably should be starting for the Browns if you really think about it. Point being, when he goes, Stetson Bennett now becomes the backup quarterback. And that is his role. Simply put, that's his role. Let's not extend it. Let's not try to make it more than it is. It's good to see him, practicing well, performing well, getting good reviews from Mike LaFleur, but do not turn this into Stetson Bennett is a franchise quarterback or he's the future. He is not the future, and that is okay. He doesn't have to be. 4th round pick turning into a franchise backup quarterback. Now that is not bad value. It's always important, though, to give a shout out to Wyatt Miller and Stu Jackson, though. I can't stress that enough, and I'm doing it again because they have been publishing their takeaways from each camp on therams.com. I think they've done a stellar job. I feel like I'm really getting my fix here, but I'm also, it helps in combination with the DMs I'm getting as well. And everyone sees things differently. You could look at the same play as the person next to you or the person down the street from you, and all three of you could come up with a different feeling about the play. You all could be looking at where the ball's going. One of you could be looking at the offensive line. One of you could be just focusing on the receiver running the route. One of you could be focusing on the quarterback. The point being is not all of us watch the games the same way. I've trained my eye over the years to watch away from the football. Okay. Now, there are times where my eye will go back to the football, but I'll key in on certain matchups. You know what's so funny about the human eye? You can literally have a giant TV in front of you where you can see everything. But you know what's so funny about it? You can't actually focus on everything. You are going to miss something. That's why we're not perfect, right? So you are going to miss on something. And that's the thing. It's no different when you go to training camp. And, there's all sorts of stuff going on. There's guys working off to the side. There's guys doing drills. I know because I've never been to training camp before, but I'll tell you right now, well, I have, but not the Rams, the Giants training camp back when Kurt Warner was playing for them. But that's neither here nor there. The point being, I've been to the Senior Bowl. I've seen the Senior Bowl practices. They do all sorts of stuff at the same time. The running backs have a drill. The wide receivers have a drill. The cornerbacks have a drill. The offensive linemen are going against the defensive linemen. You only have two eyes, okay? That's it. And it's going all over the field. So while your vision might be looking at everything, you can't physically process everything. So that's why it is a fascinating thing to get all sorts of different takeaways, because Wyatt Miller and Stu Jackson, they are two people, and that's 4 eyes total. Okay. So what they focus on is what they're going to write about. And then you'll get people that see things differently. Oh yeah, I thought that play should have been a little bit better. Okay. Well, like whatever. Right. So that's my point on that. So I wanted to give him credit. And then the Rams' first preseason game kicks off on August 9th against the Dallas Cowboys. I believe it's 7 p.m. Eastern time at SoFi Stadium. So they're not far from football being back. I haven't really figured out what I want to do. I could do a watch party. I could just do a pregame and a postgame. We'll see. I'm not really sure what I want to do. Because watch parties, they're fun, but it is preseason. It can really drag. So there is that. But again, I want to stress this, and then I'll get to comments, and we'll go through, make it like Q&A and such. Can't stress enough. I am not worried about Matthew Stafford. Okay. I'm not worried. I'd be absolutely floored if he missed week 1. I've talked to people and they're not concerned. Peter Schrager on Pat McAfee's show was not concerned, said the Rams weren't concerned. No one's concerned. He's a 37-year-old who has a sore back. I would not read too much into it. I'm just saying, I would not read too much into that. Okay. So yeah, let's get to the comments. Appreciate everybody being in here. Chat, you guys are awesome. We got a Go Rams from Jack. What's up, Brew Hog? How we doing, Jonathan? Saw AJ Jackson walking around in gear on that Up and Adams video. I hope he's on the fast track to being healed. Yeah, there's still there's still an outside chance that Alaric Jackson's able to play week 1. I think that'd be a mistake. I typically want to lean on like the more conservative side, because when you're talking about a player who's that important and is that imperative to keeping your main player, which is your quarterback, healthy, his blind side being protected, you cannot run the risk of him getting injured. Okay. You don't want to re-injure anything. And what I mean by this is I know he's dealt with blood clots, but understand this, his rehab back. And I always say this, the thing that's so scary about getting an injury is now you're focusing all your rehab on that said injury and getting that back to normal, that your body can be almost off balance a little bit, can focus on the wrong things. And essentially what ends up happening is you overcompensate for the fact that you were using certain muscles in a certain way back when you had the injury, and now the injury's or the injury's gone, and you're trying to go back to normal, but now you've used, certain muscles, certain joints to the point where you overuse them because you were compensating for that, and now it can cause another injury. It could cause you not to be as strong in other areas of your body. So I always say, do not rush these guys back. There's 17 games, and I'll tell you right now, every game matters. So that's a big thing there. Would the Rams be interested in getting Christian Wilkins to help the run defense? Press Too Cold, appreciate you joining. I don't think the Rams are interested at all in Christian Wilkins. I don't know what went on there. He's also pricey. I'm not interested, and I don't think the Rams are interested either. And here's the thing. You bring in Christian Wilkins, and I know the type of player he is, but you bring in Christian Wilkins, what kind of message does that send? So now you just got Poona Ford. Okay, you have Braden Fisk, right? You have Kobe Turner. You have to pay, that's the thing. You'd have to pay Christian Wilkins, but you also have to pay Kobe Turner at some point. You're going to have to pay Braden Fisk. You just paid Poona Ford. That's a lot of money. And I just think it would be bad, because you have these other guys like Tyler Davis and Ty Hamilton. And, I'd rather see it through with their development than block them by adding somebody like that. And again, I don't know who he is personally. I'm a little, whatever happened, I'm not going to get too much into it, but I'd probably stay away from it. I think the Rams will too. Ray, appreciate that. Hit the like button, the thumbs up button. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Yes, thank you so much. Guys, it would do me wonders if you hit that like button. We have over 150 people in here. Only 28 likes, though. So YouTube is just going to assume you guys don't like this, and they will not push it out if you don't hit the like button. I don't know why. I don't make the rules. That's just the way they are. So it'll take you 2 seconds. Just be sure to hit that thumbs up button in the app, on TV, on the, whatever it is. Be sure to do that. It does help me a ton. And moving forward, it just helps every single video. So if you like what I'm doing, you want it to be bigger, you want me to keep growing, always hit the thumbs up button. It does really help. Zaylor Swift, thank you for the 5. Love the name. Poona is going to be make or break for us. Stopping the run is imperative. I agree. Absolutely. When you lose a guy like Bobby Brown, Poona Ford is a must. And I think he's going to have a really good year. So I'm excited to see it. But I appreciate the super nonetheless there. And then we have, let's see. Yeah, Wilkins would be expensive. We got to go Rams. No to Wilkins for me. He's into some weirdo stuff. Yeah, again, this is not TMZ, so I do not care. Will not be talking about any of that. But I get what you're saying. Wilkins would help us out tremendously. I mean, I'm not going to say he would hurt the team on the field, but at the same time, I'd just rather see Ty Hamilton, Tyler Davis, Braden Fisk get their opportunities over just adding another guy at a position you don't need. So that's just my take. You went to training camp yesterday. What's up, Mark Xavier? Jarquez Hunter looks incredible in person. That's great. We love to hear that. And then this next one here is, how old is Nate Landman? He is 26. A lot of people don't realize that. He's not this old guy. He'll be 27 in November. Signed a 1-year deal, I believe, or was it a 2-year deal? I think it was a 1-year. He signed a 1-year deal. Okay. Yeah. Yep. I thought so. I just wanted to be sure we were on the same page there. Yeah. Signed a 1-year deal. Go on. Hunter looks like a dog. Love to see that. Do you think Higbee will start or will only start like 6 games? He'll start. He'll start. As long as he stays healthy, Higbee is starting the whole year. So, but I again, both can exist. A really good example of this, and this is how I would look at it, and I'm not saying Higbee is Mark Andrews, but you look at Mark Andrews and you look at Isaiah Likely, that is what I see with Tyler Higbee. and Terrence Ferguson. They are very high on Terrence Ferguson. Like he's going to play a lot. He is. Do not sleep on him. I'm telling you that right now. Hunter churns through the defense even when the play is blown dead. Sounds about right. It was nice to see Alec Jackson on the field yesterday. Yes, we like that. Just obviously would like to keep it slow. Don't rush him. It's exactly what had me excited as well. Bennett appeared to be running with the ones yesterday. That's good stuff. We like to see that, get some opportunities there for Stetson. I said that too about Stetson. Keep him around to be our backup. Totally agree, George. Either way, they definitely want a starting caliber quarterback next year, first round in the draft. Totally agree. And that is exactly why. That was the whole point of getting the first round pick. Now you have that flexibility. You can go out and get who you want because you're marrying this person at the end of the day. If they're going to be your franchise quarterback, you don't want to just pick the guy that's available. You want to get the guy that you want, right? So that's a big thing there. Wildman Samurai, what up? Thank you for the 5. Who is going to play for Alec Jackson, and what do you think our starting 5 O-line and depth will be, Jake? So great questions. So the starting 5 across the board, I think for week 1, I don't think Alec is ready to go, which is totally fine. It is going to be, in my opinion anyway, it'll be DJ Humphries. So Humphries. Then at left guard, you have Steve Avila. At center, you have Coleman Shelton. At right guard, you have Kevin Dotson. At right tackle, you have Rob Havenstein. And then your backups, so let's say they keep 5 backups. Obviously, Warren McClendon will be there. Questenberry will be there. So that, now you need 3 more. So I would say Diedick. I would probably go with... let's see. I'll go with Bo Limmer. Duh. And then the last one, I want to go with Willie Lampkin. I haven't heard anything about him, but I think he's going to have a really good preseason, and then we'll start talking about him. So yeah, that's who I'm going to go with. But I mean, then again, we could see 11 or 12 capped. It depends. I mean, dealing with an injury already like this, medical issue, I could see them keeping more than 10. So we'll see what ends up happening. But appreciate the super as always. Wild Band, thank you for supporting this channel as well as Yankees Unloaded. And then Zaylor Swift, thank you for the 5. Also 2-2. The deep threat is what makes Sean's offense great. Explosive plays. Yeah. No, I think 2-2 Atwell's going to have a pretty large role. They're excited to use him. I've heard some great things. So there's a lot of preparation there for sure on how they're going to get him the ball. And I think that's exciting. I used to game on an 80-inch TV, and it was like an adventure from one side of the screen to another. Yeah, exactly. It is funny because it makes sense logically, right? But the idea that you're staring at a screen that's big and you can see everything, but you can't actually see everything. You can't process everything. It is mind-blowing in that sense. So that was kind of the analogy I had to make based on, of course, training camp. I'll be there on August 9th. So ready? Oh, you'll have a great time. It'll be cool. Brewhog, thank you. The concern is not the injury is bad. The concern is how much his minor chronic pain can affect his play throughout the season. That's fair. But I haven't heard it labeled as such. I've heard it as like, oh no, he might not play week 1, which I don't buy. So that's a good way of putting it. What's up, Germ? How you doing? Asteroid Boss, even if he is going to miss week 1, Jimmy G is still capable. The Texans aren't the Bills, Ravens, or Chiefs. Still good, but not at that level. Yeah, that would still be a tough game. I'd probably pick the Texans if Jimmy G had to go. But, we'll see. What's up, Young and Isaac? How we doing? Start Jimmy G in preseason or during the regular season? Let's see here. He's going to go after Jimmy G in the locker room. Who is? Danny Benuelos, thank you for chiming in here. Haven't heard anything about Ty or Josiah at camp. Yeah, I've seen a lot of 41. I've seen a lot of Josiah Stewart, but I haven't really heard a lot. So I'd have to ask you guys that. But yeah, I guess we'll see. I just keep hearing about Mumfield. I keep hearing about Whittington. I keep hearing about Emmanuel Forbes, and I keep hearing about Dolak and Landman. But Landman is not from the fans or like, sources or whatever. Landman is directly from McVay, from Chris Shula, from the linebackers coach, Greg Williams. It's not from anybody like a fan. No one's raving about Landman as far as the fans go. Also, Jake, do you think Stafford missing some training camp is going to hurt his rapport with the receivers? I don't. I have no doubt in my mind Stafford will be totally fine and ready to go week 1. Totally fine. No doubt. Ronnie, the Rams need to find a spot for Dolak and Willie Lampkin on the 53. I agree. Definitely have to keep those guys. HVR 31. I was there yesterday for training camp, and Poona Ford looked legit on run plays. That's what they're saying. Woody, I agree. Let's go with the house we have. Absolutely. I like the house they built, with Landman and Ford solidifying our run game, I think we will be a top 5 defense this year. Very well could be. They got a lot going on. I'm excited about it. So, it'll be definitely a fun team to watch this year. Really fun team. Do you think Stafford will color his gray beard before game 1? I have no idea, but that's funny. I'm sassy like my quarterback to look young and fit. The only thing I hope for is Stafford colors his beard to get rid of the gray. You're really into the beard. That's not even something I really noticed, but the fact that you're that passionate about it, I hope it works out for you. I'll just say that. Jack, Jordan Whittington deserves a bit of a bigger role next season too. By the way, I agree. I definitely agree. I think the Rams, it's going to be really fascinating to see how they try to get everybody involved, because you can see now, like, yeah, you got, of course, your guys, right? You got Tutu Atwell, you got Adams, you got Puka, but also Mumfield and Whittington. It's going to be interesting to see how they do everything and how they plan it, because there's just so many mouths to feed and there's only one football to be thrown every play. So, Brewhog, thank you. Everything about Whittington excites me. The little bit we got to see him last season was a total tease. I totally agree. I was a huge fan of his coming out of Texas. Predicted he'd go to the Rams. Love that he went there. Just think he's a great fit. Does everything. He's built like a running back. So like when he gets the ball in his hands after the catch, he's hard to bring down. So that's a big thing there. John, thank you for chiming in here. Devontae Adams is the living nightmare again. Has to catch passes from Jimmy G again. Yeah. I guess it's going well. I haven't heard anything. Adams seems really happy though. I'm not going to lie. Bowserzilla says Cody Schrader, Xavier Smith, start him. Start him where? At wide receiver? It's going to be hard for him to make the roster, although he is playing well out here. I hear Sean Dolak is having a great camp, so that's good stuff, and so is Kanate Mumfield. Kanate looked good. I thought Kanate was D-Rob at practice, so that was a good sign. We'd like to hear that. One thing is for sure, regardless of how you feel about D-Rob practiced just as well as anybody from what everyone reported. He was always practicing like, his life depended on it. So that's good that he already looks like that. What's up, Pineapple? How you doing? Also heard Poona had a great first day in pads. Yes, I heard that as well. I heard Akello and Chris Paul got injured, but they might be good for week 1. Yeah, I think they'll be fine. I think it's more precautionary, which I agree with. Akello was working off to the side, so, but those are 2 of my guys, so I don't love that they're already banged up. I just hope he isn't rusty because he's missing. That's fair. Totally fair. I haven't heard anything bad about Jimmy G or Devontae. Keep in mind, these guys were on the Raiders, who have been terribly run at this point. The Rams are a good organization that keeps players happy. That's for damn sure. Did you see Kevin Dotson? Kevin Dotson loves being a Ram, raving about the culture. And, that's something that I've heard from former players, from non-Rams in the league. the Rams are considered one of the top destinations to go based on culture, based on general manager willing to make moves and not, just give up on a team. And of course, based on the head coach. And yeah, I think it obviously shows. Jimmy doesn't look bad. He doesn't look great in camp either, though. He's Jimmy G. Sounds about right. He's also not, from what I remember, he's not the greatest practice player either. There are guys like that don't practice that well, and then they go into a game and things are different. What's up, Amber? What's up, Jake? I have emerged from the depths of despondency, and I'm ready to give you a hard time all season long again. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I'll be here. So, Mark Xavier, Ethan Evans boomed a 70-yard punt through the air, and I couldn't help but laugh at how ridiculous it was. Doesn't the guy squat 600 pounds? There's not one thing that is normal about Ethan Evans. That's the funny thing. That is enough to cackle over. He is just his own dude. He entirely his own dude. Konate down the road, I think, is going to be special. Insane body control. It's interesting. So Konate Mumfield, in some of my notes when I was first watching him, I was like, man, this guy can block. He can make plays after the catch. He was intriguing to me. Now, I don't think I gave him a draftable grade, but I thought he was intriguing. And I did not expect them to draft him, but he does feel like the type of guy, and he's going to make a lot of those catches. You talk about the body control. That's something he's going to do. I don't see him getting a ton of opportunities this year, but who knows? Maybe he does. And hopefully he does in a way that, it doesn't come from an injury, because we don't want to see anybody get hurt. Right now, I'd say Nate Landman and Omar Spates in that order, which is wild to say. But yeah, I saw this picture saying the Rams are going to tank for Arch. I was like, there's no way a Super Bowl contender is tanking. That was BS. Yeah, that's not real. That's ridiculous. But they might get him. They're not going to tank. Brewhog, Longhorn / Rams fan. Then you must love what the Rams are looking right now. Everyone seems to want Arch next year. Are there any other examples or precedent that shows a college starter leaving to the NFL after only one season as a starter? I'm pretty sure Joe Burrow. He sat behind, what was it, Justin Fields at Ohio State. Then he transferred. He might have played 1 year before, but there have been 1 years in the past. Anthony Richardson was a 1 year starter. I'm going to check Joe Burrow's college stats. He either started. Okay. So yeah, he was a 2 year starter. Okay. Yeah, then it was definitely Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson was a 1 year starter. There have been guys that have been 1 year starters and have done stuff. Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's definitely Kyler Murray. Was he a no? Why does it say Kyler Murray? Now I'm curious. I got to look this up. There's no way. I thought he started more than one season. No, Kyler Murray was a 1 year starter. So yeah, I don't know. There's been a few. I think he'd be fine. Everything I heard is that Jimmy is holding it down for the most. That's all you can ask for. Did y'all see Kevin Dotson share? He made the Rams helmet on his hair. It's so good. Oh, yeah. No, that was crazy. But there you go. Kevin Dotson just absolutely loves the culture. Hey, I've worked at places that had a good culture. I worked at places that had a bad culture. Okay. And I totally understand. Jacked punter, man. Jacked punter. You're right. Ethan Evans is a different breed of punter. Max. Hey, Jake. Hope everything is good, man. Hey, likewise, Max. Who is your favorite to make it out of the AFC? God bless. Go Rams. Great question. I am going to go. That's a great question. I kind of want to lean Bills. I feel like, are we going to finally get Rams Bills? Like, that would have been a great Super Bowl last year. We saw that was the best game probably of the year, the regular season game. Rams Bills sounds about right for the Super Bowl. At least I think so. I don't care for the new squishy looking helmets they're wearing. The Lions have them too. They're ugly as hell. Hey, I'm not a fan of them either, but player safety comes first. Am I right? What happened? I don't know. You tell me. Watching the Netflix show Quarterback, every time I see Burrow, all I see is Rams quarterback. He's Hollywood, bro. We'll see. You could be right. I don't really think so, but maybe someday. Pineapple, how does a one-year starter become the number one pick? That is truly remarkable, right? It is. Kyler's done a lot. Kyler was also drafted in the first round by the A's for baseball. So, yeah, he's accomplished a lot for sure. Yeah, I was. Amber, quit stepping on the dog's toys. I don't know what that means. Rams versus Chiefs. What are we expecting from Higbee this year? Quality year, 500 plus yards, 6 touchdowns, maybe 40 to 50 receptions. I think that's fair. Sky High Studio, do you think our special teams could look like our 2017 special teams with our new returner? I do. We used all our points up in the Bills game last year. LOL. You're not kidding. You're not kidding. I had this sent to me. It's a Puka shirt. That is my shirt. Yep. Puka Nakua. I agree. Well, Higbee's huge because the thing about Tyler Higbee is he's able to make plays after the catch, extend yards, break tackles, make yards after contact. That stuff matters, right? So that's my biggest thing is that Higbee's offering you the guy that can make plays after contact, whereas nobody else on the roster last year was capable of that. And that includes Davis Allen. That includes Colby Parkinson. That includes whoever you throw out there at tight end. There was not one dude that was on the roster that was able to create after contact like Tyler Higbee, make guys miss, if you will. It's a big reason why I wanted Harold Fan Jr., but I will say Taylor. Terrence Ferguson, good God. Terrence Ferguson can make guys miss in space. So I think he'll be good at that as well. So you got two guys that can generate, yards after contact and can make guys miss, which is great. So that's a big thing there. Bennett is doing well. Yeah. Willie Lampkin is going to be a beast. I hope so. Hope he gets an opportunity. I don't want Wilkins, but maybe you get your wish. I don't know. I don't think that they're going to sign him, but you never know. Should the Rams go after Jeremiah Smith if we get our future quarterback this upcoming draft? Yeah. If they're able to get the quarterback of the future and get Jeremiah Smith, I mean, that's nothing to complain about. I was going to ask Do you think the Rams rivals jerseys will be good? I'll buy a verse jersey when they come out. Saw some really good concepts. I think it's going to be black. I mean, that's kind of what I was told years ago, but I don't know. Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I'm not a big like uniform guy, and I used to be, but like I don't know. I'm just so. You guys will hear it all the time. I'll always call this channel. This is not TMZ. What I mean by that is this is football. This is analysis. I leave all that other stuff to other channels. Like if you want to have a channel just talking about uniforms, by all means. But this is not really for me. But a black uniform would be cool, and I think that's where they're going. McVay said he expects Stafford back in week 2. Boy, I hope so. I think, John, where did you see that? I did not see Stafford would be back in week 2. He's not in jeopardy of missing any time. That's what I've been hearing. So I don't know where you heard that, but yeah, I don't know. Sky High Studio, who do you think is going to be the biggest surprise this year? The way people talk about Ahkello Witherspoon, I'm going to go with him. He is going to have such a good year. I'm telling you right now. I have no doubt. If you want me to pick another guy, Tutu Atwell. Depending how you feel about Devontae Adams, because there's some people that say he's washed and didn't watch any tape on the Jets when I actually did. And I'll tell you, Devontae Adams, that game against the Jaguars, he is still alive and well. He is Devontae Adams. Yeah, I did not think so. Which I mean is fair, but I would just Yeah, it's been said a lot. I don't know if I buy it. Let's put it this way. If Arch Manning, wants to go to the Rams want him, I think he could come out. But this is his opportunity. If he wants to be a Ram, he wants to go to a good organization. He wants to go and be with a really good coach. This would be the year to do it. If he chooses to stay back, then that's on him. And like that's totally fine. That's his prerogative, but might hurt him. Oh, I already think Kyron's going to break out, so I have no doubt. Yeah, they like Aller. That's what I've been told, so I like him too. I think right now the Rams should just stand pat. Evaluate your roster at the deadline. If you feel like you're missing something, then acquire that. But I'm not in a hurry to acquire anybody right now. I like where they're at. I really don't think they need Christian Wilkins. I don't think they need to trade for Micah Parsons. I love Parsons. Absolutely love him. But the Rams right now have a franchise. They have a roster that should win the Super Bowl, barring health. So that's as good as it gets. And, I think you wait until the mid portion of the season. You reevaluate everything. Where are you at? If everybody's healthy, then you really don't have to make too many moves. But if you want to make a move or somebody becomes available, that's something to say. So yeah, those are my thoughts, guys. We're going to be doing like shorter live streams. That way I can do more of them more consistently, because we did one for the first day of camp or whatever, and then we didn't do one until the 6th or 7th day. So we're ramping it up now with the Rams content. And of course, I'll remind you guys, I also do a bunch of shows. I do the Lakers show, Downtown Lakers. You guys can check that out in my channel. It's like right on the channel page. I do that with Ethan Shirazi. So if you like the Lakers, you can check that out. We'll be going live during the season. I also have Downtown Rams, which Alexis will be back probably within the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks or whatever. We'll start doing episodes on here again. If you like the Yankees, I have my Yankees Unloaded show I do with Gary Sheffield Jr. That is blowing up right now, almost at 9,000 subscribers. It's just taking off. So really appreciate everyone who's been a part of that. And then I have my talk show, The Lounge, which I will be bringing back. I mean, it's on hiatus right now, but I'll be bringing guests on. I'll be bringing guests on here. And last thing I'll point out is I also am bringing back Off the Edge with Cameron Lynch, former Rams and Buccaneers linebacker. So we'll be talking about the NFL on there. I'm excited for that. But, man, glad to be back. Glad to talk Rams football. I'm ready for the season. If you can't tell, I'm just so ready for the season. So love talking with you guys. Appreciate you guys. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care, folks. Later.